Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Hello.
Dave, it is New York Comic Con week.
It is, and I am at the theater.
The theater. You were at the toy version of the theater that we're actually gonna be at later this weekend. Except instead of, I think, the Springfield Theater behind you, and we're gonna be at the Gramercy, which is super cool. But before we, what was the Gramercy before it was the Gramercy? I feel like we used to call it something else, like when we were younger. Was it like
It's been
Roseland
Gramercy for a long time.
Roseland or something like that?
No, Roseland doesn't exist anymore.
We've been to so many of those venues in New York. It just feels like I feel like it wasn't always
Gramercy's been
the Gramercy.
there. I did have another name back, but I think that was more before our time.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, we will talk about that in a little bit. Of course, we do have a special guest on today's show, so we'll bring him on shortly. But first, as is usually the case, a little bit of housekeeping. So we did announce the winner of our September giveaway, but our October giveaway is live. And I know on the last episode, I did say that we were going to do like a trick or treat version of this, where like first come, first served, in terms of who picking the prize. It was too complicated to put it all in one post. So instead, we have a horror double feature giveaway this month.
You pick the post to try to win, or try to win both.
Yeah, you could try to win both. So first up, the first part of our October giveaway is this amazing 3 3/4 inch Night Demon axe wielding Eugene figure from the album Cursed of the Damned. Of course, this comes from the wonderful folks at Carve the Five, friend of the pod Kyle Wadiga and Brian Liu, formerly of Super 7. This is their fun little side hustle, their side project.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
So really cool figure. Yeah, I've got an open one right now. But yeah, it's an awesome figure. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm reversed. Yeah, just a fun little, Kenner style 3 3/4 inch axe wielding Eugene. And I've been listening to some Night Demon, and they are very much so my jam. Yeah, really cool. So that is the first giveaway. And of course, in order to win this giveaway and the giveaway I'm about to show you for part 2, you're going to want to make sure that you follow us at AIC_podcast. Look for the pinned posts in this case. And you have the entire month of Octoberween to enter to win our horror double feature. So the second part of the double feature giveaway is the Retro Realms double feature itself of Halloween and Ash versus the Evil Dead for the Nintendo Switch.
Very fun side-scrolling kind of action platformer.
Yeah,
I've played it yet.
I beat the Halloween side first, and I am now playing the Ash versus Evil Dead side, which is significantly more difficult.
Yeah.
The Ash versus Evil Dead, it's like one, and I thought the Halloween one was challenging, but like the Ash versus Evil Dead is punishingly difficult.
And I believe the game has all the DLC too.
Yes, it does. I also like the first person perspective part where you get to like walk around the arcade and unlock all the different like relics and stuff.
Yeah, the rumor is there were supposed to be more games coming, and maybe there will be, but I know this developer is making the upcoming Hellraiser game.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. So we've partnered with local NJ video game store, Electric Town, to shouts to town. So again, same thing as before. Make sure you're following us at AIC_podcast on Instagram. Look for the pinned post, and you have a chance at horror themed giveaways this month.
Mhm.
So again, shouts to our friends at Carve the Five for sending over the figure to give away, and for Electric Town for helping us give away
The game
this
also comes
awesome.
with like a really fun pack of cards.
It does. I had mine. I think I just giveaways are officially posted. You can go and enter to win them. So yeah, winner will be announced on November 1st. I can't believe we're talking about November already.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so and then obviously, you know, if you're watching this, listening to this episode, when it airs, it is the week of New York Comic Con. So starting this coming Thursday, we will be covering Comic Con live and in person, and
We'll be there.
we are jam packed. And I said that last year that like we were jam packed. We are. If last year we were jam packed, this year we are like I don't even know how to put it into words, to be honest with you, because like with Hasbro being there this year, there's 2 more toy panels to attend. We've got interviews lined up with Todd McFarlane. We've got interviews lined up with the G.I. Joe, Transformers, Star Wars, and Marvel teams all at Hasbro. We've got an interview
All
lined
at
up
the same time.
we've got an interview lined up with the folks at Mondo. Brian Volk Weiss from Nacelle, just Justin from Bandai Tamashii Nations.
And
Like
there's some more friends that are going to be there that we may be able to get a word with. We don't know.
Yeah, but it is going to be slammed. And then of course, tying in with today's this week's guest, we will also be attending the Cold Slither concert at the Gramercy, which is going to be at 8 p.m. on October 11th. So the Saturday of New York Comic Con.
Comic-Con Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to have a lot of fun things to show you.
Wraps at 7. You can get to Gramercy by 8.
Yeah, and the tickets are available right now on Ticketmaster. But as I mentioned, this week we've got a special treat straight from the proverbial snake pit, Dave. We're joined by none other than Ross Sewage from the heavy metal band Cold Slither. If that name rings a bell, it should. Cold Slither's got strict orders from Cobra Commander to take over the world and corrupt the youth at New York Comic Con. Cobra Commander didn't quite get it done at San Diego.
Well, it's a different set of youth.
Yeah, so we're headed to New York.
Yeah, we need to get the East Coast youth now.
Ahead of their second performance, we're set to dive into how Ross got involved, what it's like to blend metal and toys, and I mean metal music, not like metal and toys, because that's just we know what that is. You could go play with some Hot Wheels, and what fans can expect. Yeah, what fans can expect at the show. With that, Ross, welcome to Adventures in Collecting.
Mate, I'm here to join you in this lovely interview about toy. Okay.
Perfect.
Come see Cold Slither.
Nailed it. Welcome to the show, Ross.
No Frank Welker, but I'm trying to do my best here. So
hey, it's pretty damn good.
Not bad.
There. So listen, before we dive in and get into all of the amazing things going on with the Cold Slither project, this is a show about collecting, and I see you have quite the collection behind you. But tell our listeners, tell our viewers, what do you collect, and maybe what are some of your recent pickups?
What have I been? Okay. When I was a kid, I started out with Star Wars before I can even remember. My first memories are just of having Star Wars toys. So apparently I saw the movie and the re-release schedule in '78 because I pointed at the TV screen, not even able to talk really, and I was like that. So I still have Star Wars toys from my youth. Then, other things came along. He-Man came along. I remember He-Man as a barbarian before he was Prince of Eternia, from the old mini comics from when I started on that one. Then we moved on to and then, Transformers were around. And then G.I. Joe was a little bit later for me than I think it was after Transformers, if I remember correctly. So I went through collecting all that stuff. I've been collecting my whole life through the 90s. Of course, McFarlane started up with horror figures. So I was big on that for a while. Basically any Gen X toy collector would probably say. And at some point, I went through, I was like, my parents were like, you got to get this crap out of the attic. You live out on your own now. Get your crap out of here. So I went through a lot of stuff, and some of it found, helped me pay rent on eBay. And I went through things, and I kept treasures. So I saw, like I said, a lot of Star Wars. But the one thing I kept coming back to was these G.I. Joes. Dang, these were so fun. And I was able to pick up tiny little bits from my friends who were dropping off, hey, I got a shoebox of those old things. And then sometime in the 2010s, I was on tour and we played next to a toy shop. And I was like, I'd like to pick up a few more. And then that went out of control. So we've got a lot more now. This is some on my bookshelves, because why bother with books when I could have toys and just have my own adventures and stories? Recent pickups, Super 7. I'm waiting for my dang shipment of, I think it's wave 3 of their new O-rings.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm waiting for wave 3, and then plus the Universal Monsters, which I'm really excited about. I have the old Remco ones from '81, I want to say, along with their Haunted Mansion. And they're great, but they're 5 POA and they're not as fun to take photos of. So they are classics, and I love them, and I'll never get rid of them. But I'm really excited about, especially about Super 7, delving into O-ring for properties that are not G.I. Joe, because I like taking a lot of toy photos, but I like making my G.I. Joes do weird things and meet weird characters that aren't necessarily part of the G.I. Joe universe. So that's where I'm at. Yeah,
I could totally see the Gill Man showing up in some battles against Joes.
Oh yeah, he already has, but now he's going to have elbows and small arm battle grip, which is amazing. Thank you, Brian Flynn, for that. I've been waiting for a long time for that.
That's definitely an animated crossover that would have happened, though, at some point, I figure.
I mean,
a Scooby-Doo villain of the week type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. G.I. Joe, it's this, military organization, but why couldn't they go after some corrupt landlords of an old roller coaster park that are trying to scare off real estate investors or whatever it is?
Hey, listen, Cobra Commander's got to get money from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely true. I mean, they fought Zartan in amusement park, so it fits. See Gung Ho and Shipwreck rolling around in a mystery machine. I'm for it.
And the toys, the G.I. Joe toys, well into the 90s. I remember some of my favorite toys when I was really little were the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat O-ring figures that came in the G.I. Joe line later, and those definitely crossplayed. You better believe Snake Eyes was throwing it down with Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Smoke and all those guys.
Shang Tsung, sometimes he has to call the G.I. Joes into the outer realm for some good battles. So
yeah, amazing.
There's too many ninjas in G.I. Joe for a normal plane of existence. They have to have outer realm as well. Way too many ninjas in G.I. Joe. There's so many ninjas.
Yeah, it's just more realms, and then exactly. You could have the Mortal Kombat crossovers when they have the guest characters and all that. Doors can be open aplenty.
It's right for it. If RoboCop can fight Raiden, then so could Storm Shadow. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. So, how did this whole Cold Slither project come to life? What brought kind of the genesis of it to kind of jumping off the out of the box and onto stage?
So I come in late in the story, sort of, but sort of early. So I'm like a little foreshadowing. So, we were all in lockdown. We were all, I've known Gus, who is basically the genesis of Cold Slither as an IRL band. We had met, we have a bandmate we have a bandmate together, Matt Harvey from Exhumed. He also plays in Gruesome with Gus and in Common. And we had met, and there was at some point I had gotten a bunch of mask toys and I'd sent them off to Gus because he really likes masks. And I was like, I don't really collect masks. Here you go. Here's a bunch of I don't know, even condition these are in. He was excited. We would talk occasionally. If I went to tour and got as far as Miami, we would hang out. And then everyone gets locked down, and then you have in your cups, you'll have lots of calls with friends because you had nothing else to do. So Gus and I talked a lot, and and there was actually during the height of the pandemic as it was going, and everyone was locked down, and I was getting some nice government checks from not being able to work in person anymore. There was actually kind of a boon in toy collecting in general and that kind of pop culture. And I think all the companies have been waiting to roll out a bunch of stuff that just coincided. So we were on the phone a lot talking about as Hasbro relaunched G.I. Joe, basically, we were both so excited about that because they had just started they had restarted the retro line. Classified was really getting going. And, you're going to a Target with a mask on, hunting for things and putting all the sanitizer on your hands. And so we were talking about that a lot. And he was like, we should just do it. We should just do Cold Slither. We should just do it. Why isn't anybody doing it? And I was like, I think some people have done some videos, but nothing really is solid. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Whenever, give me a call. Well, he waited about 4 years, and he gave me a call. Because he had actually, with Gerardo, who was an old friend of his from working at Nuclear Blast, they had concocted a scheme, and Gerardo had somehow convinced Hasbro that he's like, look, if you just let us do this, and I'm not sure if the toys came first or the record came first. I think it may have just been you're doing this, we were thinking of doing this, and it just kind of magic happened, and it was kismet, and a relationship was born, and Hasbro said, sure, go do whatever you're going to do. It's a license technically, so it's they don't have to do a lot of work for it. They get the toys out, we get to put out a record. Gus calls me, he says, by the way, you're a Dreadnought now. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, it's a done deal. We're doing this, and we're going to play a show, and the record's coming out, and we got the songs, and you're going to be in the band, and you're going to be Ripper. And that lasted until the first toy reveal where Ripper was a lead guitar player, and I can't play guitar with a crap. So I said, I can't be Ripper. Okay, you'll be Torch. You'll be Torch. Just no problem. We can switch characters, no problem. So that's how it came about. Was Gerardo has been showing at San Diego Comic-Con forever with Radiant Phoenix Music. He knew some of the guys. He knows people. He knew Gus. He said, you come in, you make the music, the players, put the band together, and here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So what's
a great story?
What's been the most surprising part of bringing a fictional band to life and really in the iconic Dreadnought Torch? You get to be this character and you get to help bring this band to life. What's that been like?
I mean, one of the funniest things was my bandmate in another band, Sean McGrath. He was he found out I was playing Torch finally because we had to keep it a secret. This is some NDA kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I tell him it was announced, and he was like, "Wait, you're playing Torch?" That was my favorite. I was like, "Ha!" So that was fun. Surprising. I mean, it's always anytime I'm going into any kind of tour or any kind of release, people always ask me "Are you excited?" I'm like, "No, I'm not excited. I'm just down to business. Once it happens, I'll be excited. We'll see the reality of it." So all going into it, it was just all right, I got to help get costumes together. I got to get my costume together. I got to learn to sew better because that's a weird shirt that guy wears. It doesn't exist in real life. And then, trying to help outfit the other guys and get ready, to do Zartan makeup and all that stuff. So it's just kind of I'm going down the checklist. It's not, but then the exciting part happens even up to the show. I don't know. We get up on stage. I start getting a little nervous, and then the show happens. And then the most surprising part is every part after that was having the entire G.I. Joe team that I've been watching on Pulse for years, like come crazed into the backstage after we're done and just like surrounding us and cursing like sailors and being excited and being like, whoa, you made our toys come to life. This is a dream. I was like, you make my toys come to life because you're actually literally making the toys. But to have that kind of like excitement go back and forth between people I'd seen like kind of creating this stuff, and and then like meeting even like at the show, like meeting Michael Charles Hill, the guy who like wrote the Cold Slither episode and the Cold Slither song, and I was like, I don't think you realize how many times I've watched this like TV show and like I know all those guys. They're all like jobbers. They're just like kind of writing. They probably all wanted to write the next great American novel, but it's like to us and like at our age, we're like, no, you did write the great American novel, and it was called Cold Slither, and it was a sick episode.
Yeah,
and like, and it's kind of funny to watch those guys kind of react to that and like fan reaction, but to like have that kind of interplay where I was like with them. That was like the most surprising part, and like the next day at Comic-Con, meeting a bunch of fans and being in character and like it just brought a lot of joy to my heart that like I've always enjoyed this stuff, but like I was helping now to like present it and be that joy to someone else and be whatever, in real life character. And like I said, I'm no Frank Welker, but I talked in that voice for about 4 hours and I lost my voice after that.
Yeah, so, I mean it's crazy, right? Like we're super excited to see this in person. I did watch. I watched a couple clips, on social media from the performance, and it looked fantastic. But even just listening to the album, right? Like I remember especially the main song, right? Like from the episode, but just to kind of hear it performed by like professional metal musicians. And like have that kind of the modern recording and the just all of the technology that has progressed since that episode came out, like just hearing it in kind of that full fidelity was like a frankly it was like an oh shit moment. It was like, oh, this is real, like this is really real, they're doing this. And I can flash back to when we first saw the box art, which is behind Dave there, for the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive toys, when we were talking to Lenny and Tony back at New York Toy Fair, God, like earlier the year, right? Like January, February, saying to them like, oh, wouldn't it be something like if you guys actually put a band together for this? And they're like,
yeah, for sure.
And
not talk about it yet.
And like, we gave them like funny looks and they're like, okay, next question.
Right.
So, I mean, it's so cool as a fan of G.I. Joe and, a fan of metal music and rock music in general. Like it's so cool to see this kind of like marriage between the two happen.
No, it is really neat. And, and like getting to like, hang out with like Lenny and Tony and like, and talk about obscure G.I. Joe facts with them was like super exciting for me. Cause like, I was kind of always like, well, I don't know, like, they're probably just working. No, they know this stuff. They were collectors just like me growing up. They know everything. And it was a lot of fun to like experience that. And, I mean, I had something I was going to say. I totally forgot. Move on. Next question.
Well, all right. So you talked about, going, the feeling of like kind of recording and going on tour and having like that package together. You've got a deep background in the metal scene. So how does performing as Cold Slither compare to some of the other projects that you do?
I can't swear as much.
Fair.
That's a big one. In fact, I'm just going to enjoy a nice, polite Dreadnought grape soda. Comics Code approved, right? Like,
Perfect.
So It is a little bit different than some of my other bands, which could be a little bit more gory, risque. It's still like even the bands where I'm not dressed up that much, I still always kind of feel like I'm playing a character. Like it's you're just trying to be over the top. Like I look up to bands like Kiss and stuff, and Guar and bands like that, and those are the bands that I grew up like idolizing more than Judas Priest, who like they dressed up and had crazy stuff going on. Iron Maiden, that over the topness is what I want to see. I want to see big theatrics. So not that Cold Slither can afford that yet, but
yet keyword is yet.
Yeah,
but we try, as like with my other bands like Exhumed and a band I associate with Ghoul, we try to bring, even with small budget on tiny little stages, we try to bring a big show, and we're trying to do that. And so it's not entirely dissimilar from my other heavy metal experiences, especially I'm playing with two guys I've known for a long time, Gus and Matt Harvey, who have been playing with in Exhumed since the 90s. And so we kind of have some chemistry already going. We kind of know what we're going to do. These are just kind of new characters that we're still understanding and fleshing out. I think there was some rough patches where we're wow, I don't really know what Torch would say in this moment. I know what this other character would say, or what Ross Sewage would say, but just kind of sorting it out. But it's still, we're just playing rock and roll at the end of the day. That's all it is. You can call it heavy metal, but you're still just playing rock and roll. And there is, I don't want to say a formula to it, but there's patterns you can get to, and you can kind of fall into that vibe when you've done it enough. And you're just you know what? I'm just rocking out on stage. I love this music. I love what we're doing, and we're just going to go forward. And so Cold Slither's not entirely dissimilar to that. We might have some better one-liners next time. We'll see.
All right.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at their brand new home at 101 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Suite 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
And now, back to the show.
So, funny story, my first concert ever was Kiss.
Mine too, actually.
And my daughter's first concert ever was Kiss. So,
Nice.
yeah, big Kiss fans in the house.
Yep.
We love all that kind of stuff too. I mean, that's part of the show, right?
I brought my mom to see Kiss on that first makeup reunion tour in '96.
Yep, that's when I saw them first.
Yep.
And I technically saw them on the first farewell tour.
You saw the
right?
original farewell tour.
That's what you say. I saw the first farewell tour.
Yeah. The first time they couldn't say goodbye.
That's people in San Diego would say, I saw the first Cold Slither one-time only night show. Now we're going to see the second Cold Slither one-time night only show in New York City. That's what you got with Cold Slither.
Yeah, it's perfect. So I heard from a little birdie, shouts to friend of the pod, BMac Ben, that you were also involved outside of performing in the band, some of the stage design and presentation. Can you tell us a little bit about the visual elements that you've helped bring into the show, like for instance the Ballad of Buzzer video, and how you approach that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I love that crap. I'm a theater kid. I'm a dork. This is I did children's play. I was the king in Rapunzel. I played Frog. I'm a theater kid. I'm a dork. I love all that stuff. I love theater. So heavy metal is just an extension of that. So part of what I had to do was these other guys. I've done costuming for different bands I've been in. Like I said, there's a band I'm associated with, Ghoul, that does a lot of monsters and costumes. I've performed with Guar I was on tour with them for like 2 months and was actually part of the show, had to put on costumes and stuff like that. And, and so the first step was making sure everybody looked as accurate as me, a G.I. Joe fan, thought was, correct. Me and Gus both we're the G.I. Joe collectors. Everybody in the band is a dork, don't get me wrong. It's just like Matt Harvey's more into, Secret Wars and superpowers. So he defers to us with G.I. Joe. But it's like, yeah, making sure that stuff was ready. So I was getting my costume together. I was sewing, like I said. It's fun to think of a metalhead sitting around, furiously going at his sewing machine. And making sure everybody had the right parts for their costumes. I had to make sure that Andy, who's Buzzer, I had to make sure, I was like, we got to get you a pearl necklace, a really big pearl necklace, because that's very important. And and then some of the antics, some of the gimmicks, I was actually with Matt. I was like, we have some of these gimmicks already in Exhumed. We have these video screens that we use that are above our guitar cabinets, and we have a chainsaw that won't actually harm anybody, that can be set off in a club. So we're like, Buzzer.
Yeah.
So I had to show Andy how to start a chainsaw, because Andy's the most dreadnought of all of us. He's actually like a jerk from England. So he's got the biggest high status. He plays drums in KMFDM, which is awesome. But he is actually like a British guy. So he's the only one not faking an accent. He's for real. He's a real dreadnought. That mohawk is real. He wears that all the time. So he was born for the part, but he didn't know how to start a chainsaw, because why would you know how to start a chainsaw coming from England?
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I know there are people there in England who have to cut down trees, but it's not as common as a bunch of campers in America. Anyways, so there was getting the costumes together, make sure everybody had the right stuff. People were kind of out on their own to get that, but I had to source a lot of stuff myself and make sure people had the right leather vest, stuff like that. The videos was a lot of fun, because then I got to rewatch a bunch of G.I. Joe cartoons. Of course, I've seen them a bunch of times. So I was like, I know what clips I want. So I'm going to go through these G.I. Joe cartoons. We're going to match the videos. So I got to edit, the cartoons to the songs where I thought they would fit. I also got to do a lot of fun stuff, like go through old G.I. Joe box art. And I wanted to, Hector Garrido, really wanted to pay a tribute to his work with G.I. Joe and the different artists that had done all the box art, that all of us, we stared at the box art. If you collected as a kid, we're just like, wow, look, this really fires. Of course, it didn't fire. It said that in the fine print, but we didn't read that. But we just looked at the art and we're like, this is so exciting. So there was a whole segment showcasing the art. And then there was stuff like Ballad of Buzzer, which was I wasn't sure it was going to fly, but I was like, okay, how action figure-y can we get? And at first I was going to do it with a 3 3/4 buzzer, but I was like, okay, maybe Hasbro won't like that. They're not pushing the 3, they don't care that I have a figure from 1984. So I was like, I got to pull out a classified buzzer. Plus he's more posable. And I just put him in the most dramatic, thoughtful, pensive positions I could. He went camping with me over the summer. I took him out. Yeah, I took him to Kidd Lake up near Donner Pass in California, and I had him posing next to the lake, so sad. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this together. We're gonna see what everybody thinks of it. And people just could not stop laughing, and in a good way.
Yeah.
It was fun. I was like, okay, cool. This video's in there, because I love posing my action figures in the goofiest poses, making fun adventures for them that are unexpected and weird stuff. So that was a real pleasure for me to be able to do that. And it was noticed by the G.I. Joe team. They're like, wow, they're actually playing with our toys. So I was like, yes, we are fans. That is what we are, and that is why we're doing this. So I don't think you would jump into a project like this unless you really loved it, or just were into punishment. Because to do it right, you got to have love for it and put in a lot of that extra work. That's that unpaid work, that work that just comes from the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So since this is the second time around, performing as Cold Slither, but like we said, different coast this time for New York Comic Con. What did you learn from the first show in San Diego that you're bringing into this one?
That we need to practice our lines a lot better. I mean, it was great. A lot of it was confusion because we weren't sure where to be or what we should do. I know what I do normally as a band. I hang around at the bar. I talk to some people before the show. I go backstage, warm up a little bit, and go play. But this is like totally different experience where it's like fully immersive, fully in character. I didn't know if I should be at the show. We snuck into the backstage to and break my break because the backstage is about this big. It's about this. You fit like 3 of these guys backstage. So we're like all huddled back. And we're like, what do we do? What do we do? Okay. We know what time we're supposed to start. And then like, we were just like sitting there, like after the show, we're like, I think that went well. It's really hard to tell because it was a different kind of crowd than like, a death metal band. But like, so we just sat backstage and then like, we're like, well, should we go out now? We talked to some people backstage and, we had hung out with Jem, Britta Phillips, and had our taken a bunch of photos backstage. We walked out and like everyone's gone. Like, was the show good? I'm not sure if the show was good. Everyone's gone now. Like, maybe we just hung out too long. But then the next day, I saw videos and the fan response, like at the table as we were like signing magazines and toys. Like, I was like, okay, the show went very, very well. Like, it's just a very weird experience. So I think just this time, it's going to be just we've played together. Like I said, I've played together with some of these guys, but we've played together as a unit before. We're jumping into it, knowing exactly what's coming. I think it's just going to feel more like a well-oiled machine and natural. Hopefully everybody in San Diego thought it looked natural too, and we faked it till we made it, like, I don't know. But I'm feeling much more like confident about that we got to where we wanted to be. Say like 95% of where we wanted to be is where we got in San Diego, and I'm hoping for 100% in New York.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. I mean, the fan response that we've seen, just from our couches and computer chairs here over in New Jersey, has been nothing but just kind of like gangbusters in terms of how much people enjoyed themselves, how much they were talking about it. So much so that, personally, I could say I was super jealous at the end of San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I hope they do that here.
Yeah. So
I was hoping at San Diego Comic-Con that we were going to do New York Comic-Con. I kept my fingers crossed, and here we are.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. So much so that do you see Cold Slither continuing past these 2 con appearances? Maybe plans for more shows or even a follow-up album with some more original tunes from Cold Slither?
I hope so. A lot of that is going to be based on fan response. It's do people want it? Is this a one-off because the toys came out this year? Or, like, I'm hoping at least we could play some more cons because I would love an excuse to go to like Dragon Con, which I've never been to.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to like a Joe Con in Atlanta. Like, I've always wanted to go to. It's never worked out financially for myself. That's my main goal is like, I want this band to play a bunch of comic book conventions and do that. And it would be a lot of fun. And, I have, like I was saying, I remember what I was going to say earlier. Like the excitement I saw, one of the first live shows I saw as lockdown ended was, Cybertronic Spree.
Yes.
Yes. I love them. I've been a big fan ever since I first saw them on the internet. And I never thought I'd see them because they were just playing cons. They were just playing conventions and doing all these conventions, especially, they're based out of Cybertron, but, they have a home base in Toronto as well. And so they were playing just conventions on the East Coast and then they actually went on tour and I got to go see them in, that was 2021, I believe. And they were one of the first live shows I got to go see again as things like started to ease up. And I was so excited and thrilled. And that was kind of what I was hoping I brought with Cold Slither. Eventually I harassed those guys enough to become friends with them. And it was just like so exciting. And I was like, guess what? Actually, they said, like, if you're not part of this G.I. Joe, they saw the notice there, if you're not part of this G.I. Joe band, it's BS. And I was like, I'm not supposed to say anything. And they're like, what? So there, I was like, all right, they guessed. But like, they built a following off doing conventions. I would love to do that. And then who knows, go out with Max Sabbath. Like they go out with, some other, some gimmicky fun bands that are bringing fun into heavy metal and do that. I would love to do it. Certainly I know, Zartan is working on some more tunes. There's more than just the ones on the record. I've heard some really good tunes coming out. There are ideas and plans, and if people want to hear it, make sure, especially that Hasbro hears that you want to hear more of it. So,
Max Sabbath makes sense. I just saw them in Chicago. That was
they're fantastic. Yeah, they're fantastic.
I was gonna say, the comic universe, you got the Energon universe with the Transformers and G.I. Joe worlds blending together. So that's got a tour written all over it.
I mean, it's not a lot's up to me. I'm kind of a little, I'm just a dreadnought. I'm not the leader. I'm not the leader of Cobra. I'm a mercenary. I'll go where I get a giant ruby that is like the size of my head. So, but I would love to see stuff like that happen. I would love to see those kinds of things happen and have it continue, because it's a lot of fun to do. And I love working with the people that we're working with, the band, the people I've known for years as friends before we were ever doing this.
So this one kind of like, I'll say this is a little bit of a music alteration is something that we would ask normally, but if you could pick any other toy line from the 80s or 90s, but turn it into a metal band, what toy line would it be and why?
I have two answers for this. Inhumanoids would be a sick musical project. Inhumanoids is such a weird, rich, amazing, like crazy H.P. Lovecraftian, like you could have like a really symphonic dark metal band doing some Inhumanoid songs, about Metlar and Decompose. In fact, there's actually a band, if you like into some thrash metal, Band and Gorge wrote a song about Decompose, and it's about one of the best thrash metal songs I've ever heard in my life. So it's Band and Gorge. Check it out, Decompose, that song. The other one, it's obvious, and was talking about it with friends for years, and then I started kind of middling around with the project, was I thought He-Manowar would be a great project. And if you look up He-Manowar on YouTube, you might find a couple videos that I may have done kind of karaoke style, but singing about, Manny Faces and Man-at-Arms and Trapjaw. I didn't write any tunes, but karaoke is a fun vehicle to work with. So, and put some cartoons together. But if anyone puts out He-Manowar, it's already copyright trademark me if I ever get around to it. So.
See, and I was hoping you were going to say Rock Lords, just because it's
Rock
right.
Lords.
It's a little on the nose, but
Rock and Roll Lords. Like, I mean, what are you talking about? They turn into rocks. Like, I am so sorry. I was just watching the trailer from Challenge of the GoBots with the Rock Lords movie, and I was just like, what were they thinking? They turned into rocks.
I always just think
it's that scene in Big where Tom Hanks is like, I don't get it. The robot turns into a building. What fun is that? He's just
yeah.
Like they just turned into rocks. Like,
I always just think Battle Beast is a good answer for any question.
Battle Beasts are great. That would be a cool one. I don't know enough of the lore around Battle Beasts. I know originally it was connected to Transformers, but I never watched like the Headmasters cartoon. I keep meaning to get around to it, but I have to find a good translation of it or whatever. But they're pretty cool. I don't know. Inhumanoids is the one.
Yeah,
I think it's just like, and then I'll say, another good. There's a couple good. Mask is a great theme song, but I don't think it would be a good band. But Spiral Zone. You know Spiral Zone? Spiral Zone, and it has a rock and heavy metal theme song. And it's basically like these different zones. They're zombies, not zombies. Kind of like.
Oh yes, I remember this now.
And it would be very It's a very depressing cartoon, honestly, because the world is in shatters. but it's really cool. So, and it has a really like awesome theme song. So yeah, Spiral Zone would be a good one.
Yeah, shouts to friend of the
Yes,
pod.
I remember this.
Dan Larson, who actually did an amazing video on this on Secret Galaxy. So
Yeah, Spiral Zone. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
if you've never watched this video on Secret Galaxy, highly recommend it. Also, all of the stuff on Secret Galaxy. Dan
Yeah,
is
definitely worth watching.
Dan is the best. Okay, so we have a little tradition on this show where we have a final question that we ask all of our guests. Dave, would you like to fulfill your role as this podcast's James Lipton and ask Ross our final question?
Why, yes, I would. The final question that we ask all of our guests: what is your favorite and/or strangest piece in your collection? It can be one of each, or it can be both.
I'm prepared for this. This is my G.I. Joe wall, but I'm prepared for this. One of my favorite pieces is this guy. It's my LJ and Roddy Piper that I've had since I was a kid. Roddy Piper is one of my heroes, especially for all of his smack talk. And I watched that. I remember watching on pay-per-view to see. I had to make sure that he beat up adorable Adrian Adonis so that he could get the movie contract. And at that point, I was a little bit young, but I was so excited. I was like, Roddy Piper's gonna be in a movie. It's gonna be a movie. Like, I can't wait to see this. And then it was like such a formative movie. They Live was the movie that was after that. And that's when I became a fan of John Carpenter and really started to understand more about horror and get into that. So, but Roddy Piper was also RIP, like seemed like such a cool person. Also, I mean, he's so tough. He beat cancer. He got shot and got through that. And he still talked the best smack of any wrestler ever. And so I had this for a long time. And if you watch WCW Super Brawl 97, you can see me waving this around second row for like about 10 seconds when they show me on the camera. So I took this with me. I wore a kilt. I was so excited to be second row. And then after the show ended, I went and played a show with Exhumed wearing that same kilt, and they were not happy about it. But they didn't understand the love I have for Roddy Piper and what an amazing person this was. So that's one of my favorites. One of my strangest, it's not like a super duper rare, but my Kenner alien.
Nice.
So the strangest thing about this is that this was marketed to children.
Sure
That
was.
is the strangest thing. This is not the one I had as a kid. The one I had as a kid, though, I still have photos of it. I would dress it in my Darth Vader pajamas, and other kids would sleep with teddy bears. I slept with the alien.
Perfect.
So I don't know. I was at a toy store. I pointed. I said, I want that. And my parents were cool. They got it for me. I grew up with this thing. He used to munch on Luke Skywalker and stuff. My original, I played with it hard, and eventually this is kind of a bad joint right here, and it broke, and my parents threw it away. And I talked about it for 20 years until one Christmas, I think it was 2002, I woke up and they had bought me another vintage alien doll because they were sick of hearing me talk about it. And they loved me. So this is the weirdest toy because it is profane as all get out and weird and bizarre. But it also holds a special place in my heart because it reminds me that my parents love me very much and that they let me be a weird kid and let me be a weird adult.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
What a story. What a story. What an answer. And yes, also one of the strangest marketing decisions ever made by Kenner.
Like here's an R-rated movie with people getting their brains splattered. Let's make a toy.
Yeah. Yep. But like, imagine being, I don't know, 7, 8 years old and seeing the chest burster scene, like, like that.
I'm not sure any 7 or 8 year olds were allowed to see that.
Yeah.
I that's like another one like Alien. I have no memory of the first time I saw it. I just eventually saw it, but I was already so familiar with the toy and knowing the character. It became Yeah, I also a lifelong fan of like HR Giger, and like I've been to the museum and in Gruyere, Switzerland, and just like it started
awesome.
me
Very cool.
That's hanging out with that thing as like a 4-year-old really set me on a strange path in my life, but a very amazing fun path.
Well, it's like when, I'm playing like the Predator NES game as like a, 7-year-old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was the Predator. When I had the Predator Aliens game, that one was so good. I love side scrollers like that. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, they're like, they did make Kenner the Predator toys for the kids in the 90s. It's like,
yeah, I had the Kenner 90s alien toys, like the like gorilla alien and like
I still have a few of those. And God bless Kenner for trying to corrupt young minds.
They did a great job. So with that brings us to the end of our chat here, end of our interview. But before we let everyone go, one last time, let's talk about this show. So Cold Slither, the Gramercy Theater, October 11th, doors at 8 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster. And if you aren't excited already, the first 100 folks through the door get an iCobra New York shirt.
I'm so excited about that. It was like in the chat. I put like snake New York, snake emoji New York, and I was like, wait, can we please make this? Can we please make this shirt? And lo and behold, it got made. I'm so excited about that shirt. I hope I'm one of the first 100 who makes it.
Everybody always wants to get there early for merch. Here's the chance.
Yep.
And it's free merch.
Yeah. I mean, you can't think of a better deal than that. Exactly. In this economy, a free shirt. Come on.
And help. We have to save New York from Andrew Cuomo. We have to save it from Eric Adams. We have to save it from Zoran Mamdani. We have to save save New York for Cobra. So be a part of the cause. Yep.
Cobra Commander. Look, he wants you. I want you.
Yes, right. He's going to make the subways run on time and fix everything. He's going to take care of the rat problem because Crocmaster's going to come in and and get the crocodiles to eat all the rats, and then we'll have a crocodile problem, but we'll deal with that later. Yeah.
He's got an operative for every issue, for every single issue.
Absolutely.
Well, Ross, thank you again, man, for joining us. This has been awesome. We're super excited to see you in person, and
I'm excited to see you.
Experience Cold Slither. And also just remind our listeners, our followers, where can they keep up to date with you and everything that's going on with you on the internet?
On most platforms, I am Sewage 666. Like on the Twitters, the Blue Skies, on the Facebooks, whatever. If you're sick of my face and you just want to see my toys, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Doc Sewage, DOK Sewage. That's where I put all my toy photos, keep that nice and separate, little serotonin boost. And Dr. Sewage with a K. That's my website where I occasionally still blog about show experiences and fixing electronics and crap like that.
Awesome.
Right on.
Well, Dave, with that, I think it's time to send us home.
Yeah, so we'll see everybody on the 11th.
See y'all there, October 11th.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.